Hey there, rulers. DMO73 here. Welcome to the library. Let's go ahead and look at Library's Done. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoco.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and Full Grammar Alchemist. Class is in session. So here is the list that I played. As a reminder, you can go get your pre-orders with Odyssey Games for 10 ounce right now. The link is in the description. You can even pick up your stuff at FowFest, and I hope to see you there. So, books. Who would have thought this deck has become essentially the quintessential kind of toolbox style deck because of the fact that your entire real pressure is coming from the sideboard, at least the way we build it. You can obviously also play it as a burn variant or a dark variant. There's all kinds of flexibility to it. But the way we're playing it is more of a stun list. So we have a lot of resonators in the board that are meant to help us facilitate that stun lock. Pandora to be able to turn on the number 13s immediately. Zero to stop draw. Grim to be able to pop additions and search for fairy tales to get us things like Neverend. You also have Swordsmaster Faria is really good here. And then also we're playing Alice's Girl of the Blue Planet to be able to name a card and lock our opponent out. We also have things like Scheherazade to stop something from being able to use its activate abilities or stop it from attacking. All kinds of flexibility there. You also see in our kind of starting with the Will of Despair stuff, we've got Melgus and Arla and Rezard and Machina. These are things to make use of the fact that we are gaining a lot of life because of Crimson Moon's Fairy Tale. You can discard it when you shift between the books, and then it gets reanimated, and then every single time you discard a card, you gain 500 life. So you can get a really high life total, and so we're going to use that to our advantage as well. From there, the main deck is a lot of just like control, utility pieces to protect the things that we're going to, and then sometimes you can bookworm them to death, or you can also go for Falchion, Shooting Star of Water, and do some pretty neat things there, especially if you have Crimson Moon's Fairy Tale. A neat little interaction is if you have Melgus and Falchion and some of these Crimson Moons out, then you could do some pretty silly things where discarding a card to put +1/+1 counters on Melgus actually gains you life that then you can spend to pump up Melgus even further. You get the gist. And when you combine it with things like Grimoire of 1001 Nights to replenish your hand, and there's a lot of hand manipulation that comes out with this deck to help you cycle through the cards a lot faster to get to that having 2 cards left in your hand piece, which is really nice. Dark Alice Rabbit Princess is another great one here for that piece. And then again, you have some other really wonderful tools like Soul Returning Altar and Life Stealing Altar, since you're judgmenting a lot. And then you get a stone, when you judgment, and makes it so you can make sacrifices of things to give nice stat negs to things, which is really great in a world of Eternal. Lunar Protective Life Form is a very similar thing that's just good for hand manipulation, as well as controlling against burn or aggro style decks. Cage of Mother Goose is a wonderful piece of spot removal that you can use, especially given the fact that Book of Dark on its J-Ruler side is a fairy tale. Same with Book of Light, so you can then, judgment, get something, and then use the book to use Cage of Mother Goose. So pretty great there. And then Fates Reunited, we're playing 3 copies because it's a book as well. And we want to be able to set up Bookworm as a way to be able to kill our opponent off of 10 oaths. There's a really lot of great ways you can do this. You saw how I played it more as a slow burn, control, stun style that just kind of bursts your opponent out or chips them to death. You can play it as the red version that we saw from Patrick Ogrentz at his top 8 on the online GP. I'm sure there's a darkness variant out there somewhere. Choosing to start with Book of Dark or Book of Light is kind of dependent on if you want to play a 1-drop Will of something to be able to grab, and what color energize you want. So it's a little bit based on that. To keep in mind, you can always swap between the 2 as your starting ruler in games 2 and 3 to shift what your energize is going to be. So that's kind of your flexibility. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about books in the comment sections down below, or how you've been playing it. You can find a link to this exact list over on Force of Wind in the description to go copy it and tool around with it yourself. Hope you guys like it, and until next time, this is TMO73 saying class dismissed.